Hi guys, I want to make a video today about Venus placements in your chart and how they affect how you value yourself and how you treat yourself and how you receive love and give love. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because I got a lot of comments today on Venus placements in my Instagram, and I also got a DM about a certain subject about having the Venus placement in the 7th house and being, a little bit loose in love and being much of a doormat, and also having Venus placement in the 1st house and valuing yourself and being very reserved and very picky, or shall I say, abstinence in love. Now, as we all know, that the main goal in astrology is to master yourself and balance every single aspect, because if you have too much of something, then it becomes an imbalance and you'll never be able to to rise above yourself. You're always going to be stuck, and you're going to keep reincarnating, and you're going to have the opposite of that aspect, and then you're going to have to learn that opposite, and you might as well just learn it in one lifetime. That's how I see it. And if you're born, for example, if you have like the Venus placement in the 1st house and you don't learn how to give love, and you're constantly expecting and receiving, you're like the conceited type, then you might be born the next life and have Venus placement on the 7th, which is totally the opposite, and you don't want that, because then you're going to be overdoing it, and then you have to rebalance it. You know what I mean? Or I don't know, if you have the Venus placement in the 4th house, okay, and then you're very reserved. It's another reserved house, just like the 1st house, but this time you're more family prone and you give too much attention to the family instead of giving the love to the public. Then guess what? You're going to be born the next life with Venus in the 10th house, and you're going to be giving a lot of attention to the public and yet not attention to your house, not attention to your family or your private life. So it's essential that once we become conscious of our charts and what our charts and the purpose of our charts, that we start working on them, and you start to understand why you're here. I mean, that's the only thing that's going to save you. Metaphysics is the only thing that's going to save you, because you're going to understand yourself. And once you know yourself, you cannot be controlled. Nobody could manipulate you, okay? Once you're aware of what you want in life and what you are, nobody is able to control you. And that's a fact. Now, as I commented in my Instagram account, that the closer you have Venus to your ascendant, the more you're going to love yourself, because it's self-love. Okay, Venus represents love and the ascendant represents yourself, so it's self-love. And the further you have it from the ascendant, the less likely you're going to love yourself, and you're going to seek love from other people instead of yourself. And you're going to keep hitting. You're not going to feel value, and that's what Venus is. In Chinese medicine, metal represents Venus. Okay, the metal phase. And why is metal representing Venus and not Mercury? And it's because metal is what gives the value. It's like gold, silver. Metal comes from the earth, from the process of melting fire with earth, and you get metal. And metal is that aspect of ourselves that we integrate, and we say, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do to make me who I am? It's the self-value part of ourselves. So if you have Venus in the 11th house, you tend to be a little bit loose too, because 11th house is an extroverted house. And maybe you have to, I know it's close to the ascendant, but still it's an extroverted house. So you have to learn how to cultivate love by being creative, being creative to yourself. Being creative, learning creativity, because the 11th house opposes the 5th house. So you're going to have to learn how to find that sun within, because the 5th house is ruled by Leo. Venus in the 9th house is also an extroverted Venus. You tend to be also a little bit loose and maybe more outgoing. And also the 3rd house is another loose house, because the 3rd house has to do with the mind and mingling and chatting, so it's also a social house too. The 2nd house is an introverted house, like the 1st house and the 4th house. The 2nd house has to do with possessions and value. Maybe what you find value in a person, it has to do with money, okay? And maybe you have to learn in the next life to share that, to learn not to take a lot and learn how to share, which is the 8th house. The 8th house has to do with sharing with other people. Okay, and if you have Venus in the 8th house, it means that you're very selfless. Okay, and that you give too much and people just take advantage of you. You see, you have to have a balance. None of these aspects are ever balanced. You are the one that has the willpower to balance these aspects. Okay, they're just giving you a clue of where you go. It's where you have to go. It's a roadmap. Okay, and thank God we have a roadmap, because or else we would be lost. If you have Venus in the 12th house, it means that you're going to have to learn how to stop believing people that are in the shadow and go for people that are more out there, that put everything in the limelight instead of hiding stuff, you know what I mean? Because that's what the 6th house represents. And if you have Venus in the 6th house, then what it means is that you have to learn how to be more private, you know what I mean? Because the 6th house has to do with routine, but you're going to have to learn how to be more spiritual, find that spiritual light in that person that you like, you know what I mean? Because you don't want somebody that's going to be too logical. The 6th house to do with Virgo. You need someone to be Pisces and Virgo, have that balance, that perfect balance. My advice to people is not to chase anybody. Attraction is spontaneous and it's pheromone. You have to be spontaneously attracted to each other. And sometimes if you're not spontaneously attracted to each other, you have to be in the same environmental place like school or work, and time will tell if you like a certain facade of the person. But love cannot be forced. You cannot force someone to like you, okay? Because then you know what happens. Then you never heard those stories that people get married and then they're like, when I met this person, I really didn't like them, and now I'm miserable. You don't want to hear that. You really have to be like, love at first sight. I do believe that, and that's like the best thing, love at first sight. And also, demonstration is a must. People that talk too much, you have to avoid them like the plague, because they're preparing you for the worst. So when you meet someone, you have to make sure that you already know yourself. What aspects of yourself are you missing? Okay. For example, I'm missing earth and I'm missing a little bit of fire, because I'm very much of air and I'm very much a little bit water. So I need someone that's very physical, and that's what's going to attract me. Somebody that's intellectual or somebody that has a brain wouldn't really do it for me, because I already have one. I'm very intellectual. So actually it would be a very bad idea to have somebody that's too intellectual, and it won't combine with me, because then what we're going to be doing, I will never be able to grow physically, and I'm just going to be talking back and forth intellectually, and then I'm never going to be able to develop my physical aspect, my earth aspect that I need to develop, that's not in my chart. So I already know what to look for. I know the clues, but a lot of people don't know this. Okay, so I hope this video helped.